Hello everyone, welcome to my AP Physics 1 algebra-based analysis on the greatest anime, TV series, manga, story in the world known as Roof Piece or One Piece. So the main thing I will focus on today is the main character seen here, Monkey D. Luffy, the absolute GOAT of Roof Piece and his numerous forms or attacks. For clarity on what Luffy is, the dude has the properties of rubber. He is not exactly made out of rubber, but has the mere properties of it, meaning what you think it does. Every body part is rubbery and stretchy. Either way, I will go over his numerous forms and attacks and explain the physics or lack of physics behind them. Before I get into the physics of Monkey D. Luffy, I have to first explain what Busou-shoku haki or ornament haki is. Busou-shoku haki is when someone uses their spiritual power in order to harden their skin with currently unspecified properties for offensive or defensive abilities. This comes into play with Monkey D. Luffy's second gear. To further explain on Monkey D. Luffy's second gear, is when he speeds up blood flow as if he were an athlete blood doping. His body temperature greatly increases and he also gains immense speed. But in this case, I will focus on a specific attack of his called Red Hawk. Yes, red is in the color, hawk is in the bird. With this attack, he stretches his arm out a great distance, covers it in the Busou-shoku haki I previously mentioned, and punches forward with immense speed. And obviously with this immense speed comes a large amount of air resistance, or to keep it simple, friction. With this friction, if there were enough oxygen, his arm would technically set on fire, and it does, and would vulcanize. Now, you might ask, what is vulcanization? In general, it is when rubber goes through a process of refinement, usually with sulfur, but in this case, it's the Busou-shoku haki, which properties really haven't been explained yet, but it's just like plot. But in general, it would result in a higher tensile strength and elasticity, which everyone here probably knows would result in a higher output of force. Moving on to Monkey D. Luffy's third gear. Honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest. The entirety of his third form doesn't really make sense on a biological or physics standpoint, but like, it's fiction, so I'll have to explain either way. Monkey D. Luffy, he bites into his thumb bone and he blows air into his whole arm and like able to move the air around in his body, which simply doesn't make sense because like he bites into the bone, so he blows air into bone, but like not all bones are connected, so it simply doesn't work like that. But in a physics standpoint, when he's in his third gear, he gains immensely more power and force, which simply doesn't make sense because as you increase the volume of air in something, in this case it's his arm, the density would drop because they're inversely proportional, making his attacks actually weaker. The only way his attacks would actually like maybe increase in strength would be if like his bones were extremely dense to the point where like even if he increased the volume of air in his bones, the density would barely decrease. But even technically, his power should still decrease because like he's spreading out the force over a larger area, so like, you know, it's intertwined. Now, moving on to his fourth gear, it comes with the same problems biologically that gear third did, but instead of focusing on problems I've already pointed out, I'll instead point out the more interesting side of physics with Monkey D. Luffy's fourth gear. Basically, to activate this fourth gear, he blows air into his muscles and imbues them with the Busou-shoku haki I stated earlier, hardening his rubber. Now, I don't know how that works, besides for like the fact that Roof Piece is just fiction. But yeah, I'll talk about how the forces work, how like his arm basically turns into a spring. So as he begins to attack, he winds up his arm like a spring, pushing it back with his fist. Then like he releases it, and the outcome is a high-speed, high-force attack. Now, if you obviously paid attention in AP Physics 1, algebra based, you would know that the Hooke's law states that the amount of force you apply is proportional to the stretch. So that means if you apply twice the force, you get twice the stretch. So in this case, since he's actively applying a force on his hand that we don't know of, his spring-like arm would like give us a direct proportional amount of stretch. And he uses this to obviously obliterate everybody. And here's like just the Hooke's law in general. F equals negative spring constant x, and you can see how like in Gear 4 how his arm basically turns into a big old spring, and you can see how it bears resemblance to the actual diagram at the bottom. Now, in general, Roof Piece by Eiichiro Oda has numerous events where there are explainable physics and similarly completely unexplainable stuff that like bears no resemblance to any physical laws, which it makes sense because it's not real. Either way, everyone here should read, watch, and enjoy Roof Piece, please. Like, I beg you, please.